Welcome, teachers, to ABLE, Advocating for Emergent Bilinguals Through Language and Literacy. My name is Ingrid Heydrich, and welcome to my course, Linguistics for Teachers. Today, I want to help you inform and transform your students' vocabulary with roots. So let's be clear on what a root is in morphology, which is the study of word parts. A root is the origin or an original part of a word, usually from Latin or Greek, could be from Anglo-Saxon, and we can attach a prefix or a suffix to it to create a bigger word. Let's take an example. Construction. We have con, which is our prefix, meaning with or together, struct, meaning build, and our suffix un or shun. Okay, struct is a Latin root. As I just said, it means to build. So construction, if we put it together, means to build with. Let's look at another word, information. We have our prefix in, which literally means in. We have form, which is our root. We have a connective letter, and then we have our suffix shun. Form also comes from Latin, and it means, it's a transparent meaning, to form or to shape. Now notice these two roots. One, form, is a word, right? You can form something, something forms. It's a word in and of itself. You just can't reduce it any more than that, right? You can only add to it with a prefix or a suffix. Struct, however, is not a word in and of itself, right? It's just a word part. And so roots may or may not be a word on their own. So struct versus form. And this is important for students to understand because it could be confusing. So just make sure that you're clear in your mind when you're introducing a root to your students, that you're clear. Is this a word by itself? Or is it just the root, the word part, and I need to explain to my students that they can't use this word by itself. They have to attach a prefix to it to make it into a word. Okay? All right, let's move on. Why are word roots important for building vocabulary? Your teachers, it's your second nature to build your students' vocabulary, especially emergent bilingual students. But what is it about word roots in particular that's so important? Well, Latin and Greek roots form the basis of academic vocabulary. We know that our vocabulary knowledge is not just a list of words in our brain. Our vocabulary knowledge is a network. And so when students understand that we can connect words of similar forms and meanings in a word family, like struct or form, it helps them acquire academic vocabulary. It helps them recognize it in text, guess at meanings, and begin to use it in their own writing, hopefully. English has over 100,000 words. As teachers, there's no way that you're ever going to be able to teach your students all the words they need to know for reading comprehension. It's just impossible. When you teach word roots, you're teaching your students to recognize word families. And that way, when they come across an unfamiliar word, they can take it apart, right? That's why we're teaching them morphology, to be able to take apart a word by its prefix root, and if it has a suffix by that as well, and analyze it, right? And if they can analyze the meaning of a root, then they have a better idea of what that word could possibly mean. Spanish, French, and other languages share Latin and Greek-based cognates with English, so it's entirely possible that your emergent bilingual students already have some of these words in their home language. And bilingualism is a force for vocabulary acquisition. When your students already have an entire language with its own vocabulary, they can use that to start learning English vocabulary. And when the bilingual begins connecting the two lexical networks in their brain, you have a really smart student who can make connections between words and meanings. Finally, recognizing prefixes, roots, and suffixes helps students to decode text more quickly. Okay, so this isn't just about learning meaning, it's also about being able to read more quickly and accurately. Okay, so now for our classroom activity. First, I'm going to ask my students to put together words with this root. This is going to help them see word parts as separate entities with meaning. And they're going to play around with this and come up with different words. Next, we're going to ask our students to read a word list containing words with the root scrib or script. This is for reading fluency. It's not enough for them just to play around with the words and understand their meanings. They have to be able to get them off the page quickly and accurately. So I want you to give your students a table like this and have them read aloud as a class or in small groups as quickly as they can. Describe, describe, description. Prescribe, prescribe, prescription. Finally, you can ask them to choose two words and write a sentence. Alternatively, you can dictate a sentence and have them write it down. The full activity is available on Google Slides through the link that I've posted below in the video. Stay tuned for my weekly post where I give you activities and resources for your classroom to advance your English learners and all students' language and literacy. If you like this video, subscribe below. Thanks for listening.